into a PSI seminar and getting a better understanding of our subconscious. Why the heck do we do the things that we do, and where do we want to go as we're moving forward? So we'll kick off with a quick introduction to Kathy and Gary Perez. They're both PSI seminar instructors, youth development champions, community builders, and I've been told two of the most genuine humans to ever walk on the face of the earth. So we are very, very blessed this morning. Extremely grateful. And I know we had multiple people on our team that have gone through PSI. So Domino, would you share your experience a little bit?
Sure. Thank you guys for being here. We did it's called Basic, which is like a 3-day intensive workshop. And we did it out in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And we were fortunate enough to do it together and do it with some friends. And there's days where that phone feels heavy and we can coach to all the stuff that can change our day-to-day behaviors. But if that mindset's not in the right place, it's always going to feel that way, or we're going to fall into bad habits and fall into bad routines. And that's specific to real estate, but it really applies to every part of your life. And I walked away from that 3-day a changed person. And we wanted to bring this, especially these guys were our facilitators too. So we wanted to bring this to everyone here today and give you an intro to it. And then also wanted to share, I was just telling Kathy, I'm going to the 7-day, which is like a more intense version of it in about 2 weeks here. She's going to be hosting it. I'm really excited to spend some time with her out in Arizona and unpack 41 years of what's made me me and make me a better version of me. So that's what this is all about. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I guess I've spent like many years dabbling in personal development and growth and all sorts of things, and like lots of different life experiences, including cancer at 27 and 12 rounds of chemo and anxiety my whole life, even before that. And I think the thing that has stuck with me the most in recent years has been PSI, also the book Psycho Cybernetics, which I tell everyone I sent Amber a copy of. It's like my book that I would like ride or die by out of all the personal development books. And it's a really interesting concept, and it's similar to PSI. And Kathy, you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, but the basic premise is that there's this plastic surgeon who talks about 2 different groups of people that come to his office. One that have some sort of deformity or something they don't like about themselves. They get it fixed and they go on to live a totally different life. And the other group gets it fixed and they go on and live the exact same life. And the only difference is whether or not they change their perception of who they were. And that book just like has really stuck with me in postpartum. And then I took this course right after, which is very similar, and just understanding like why we think the way we do, why we do what we do, and that you can change it, most importantly, and rewire it. And it starts with having awareness of what it is and what it's not and where it's coming from. And life changing for me and for, I feel like, how I raise my kids and the life that I want to give them in the home that I want them to grow up in. So just a little taste of it. It's hard work, but when you realize how changeable our brains are, and you can see it in children, like how much they grow, how fast, and like how much they are sponges, and we are too, but we just don't do it really, and you have to stop to relearn. So that's my spiel.
I had an agent come and speak to me a couple of months ago too, and said, "Come on," and said, "I'm just struggling with this, and this, or thinking about this, and this." And I'm going to put Auden on the spot here for a second. I was like, "Well, I can help you unpack all of this over the next 2 years of our lives together, or you could trust me and go take this course." And he's like, "Okay, I'm in." So Auden actually did his basic about a month and a half ago now.
Yeah, 2 months ago.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything? You're the freshest one out of it. So
Yeah, it was a great experience. And like Ellie just said, relearning, that's what children do. But this gave me more tools to take a pause and figure out who I want to be in this moment rather than just being myself for no reason. And I do that every day now. So there's just more distance between myself and my thoughts.
Well said.
With that being said, how about a big round of applause for Kathy and Gary?
Yeah.
Floor is yours. Thank you very much.
There we go.
We have a volume problem.
Oh, Kathy, we can't hear you. Unmute that. Yep, we just tested it. It worked a second ago. Okay.
Set this part up as a self-reflective moment. So
This isn't fair.
There we go. Oh, that might be someone else. You're
Oh, yeah,
you're gonna
thanks.
shut off and come back on? Okay, sounds good. Okay, bye. Okay. Okay, sounds good. You're gonna shut off and come right back on. It was just working.
Everyone else out there in virtual land, just make sure you're muted for me, please.
I don't even. I'm tired. Yeah, it started with yeah. Not PD. Yeah, apparently. Oh, I'm eating it.
How true.
I am.
Siblings, family, they all just do that. That's no point of stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay,
There we go.
can you
You're
hear
here.
us?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so great. Okay, so first of all, hello everyone. Thank you for, it was all perfect, kind of like life. It's all set up and then, something happens. So you got to pivot and make it work. So we're super excited to be here with you today. We are here live in New Mexico, and you're over there in Madison, Wisconsin. And we have some people that have joined us from other parts of the country. But we're super excited to be here. And Dom and Ellie, and was it, I missed the other guy's name. Was it Izzy? Auden. So those were really good shares. That was really good. I love the plastic surgeon one. Like you could fix yourself on the outside, but if you're not like figuring out what's going on, like really what's driving what you're producing in your life, nothing's going to be different. So the first thing I'm going to say is if you're sitting in this room or on this Google Meet and you're associated with these people, I know that you're an extraordinary human being. I met Ellie and Dom from Casey Council, and she's an extraordinary person and incredible. Her husband, Rick Jihal, was amazing, has left a huge impact. And so we met them because of these classes. And they were students in our classes, and they have taken the work, taken themselves on, And if you know Rick and know Casey, you know where they are in their life currently. So super excited to spend a little time with you today, give you a little taste of what's possible in the 3-day basic, but also to leave you with some things to like work with yourself, because personal growth is not a one-time shot. It really is lifelong learning. And I believe that if you're sitting in this room, you have a commitment to lifelong learning, because in your industry, especially in today's world, things are shifting. And to be able to keep up with that and ahead of that, you got to shift you. So we'd like to actually pass it to you. And I'd like to hear from some of you is that what brought, I mean, I know that you have your meetings, so your industry, but is there something specific that you're looking at to gain from this morning that you can utilize in your business and your life? Or you just came because, oh, there's another meeting? And please don't all jump in at once.
I'm interested in continuing to challenge my beliefs. You get such a long time of this is the way it is, and this is the truth, and this is the fact. And sometimes when somebody challenges you from the outside, you realize that may no longer be accurate or may no longer be serving you.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
So this is really great because this is where you get to look at one of the things that we have as a species, and not very many species can do this, and that is for our own minds to observe itself, meaning we get to think about what we're thinking about. So many of you want to have something greater in your life, meaning that you want to sell more homes, boost your sales, you want to make more money, you want better relationships. So whatever that is, however, you want to ask yourself, okay, I have all of these questions, but yet I haven't opened my mouth. So
Well, that's for a month.
I know. I did. Certainly didn't inspire any conversation there. Okay. So what do you want to walk away with today? Because this is an opportunity for you to absolutely have your day change. It could totally shift just based on one session. So what would you like to shift?
My mindset and how I help people.
Okay.
What do you mean by help people?
Actually, like, instead of just being in front of them to make a paycheck, to project my value to them.
Okay. Okay.
Without being in my head.
Okay, that's a good one. We're definitely going to jump into that one. What else? Okay. Go ahead.
I came today because I've learned that it's really important to be more curious than it is to be judgmental. And I've known Casey for a long time, and I think that she's one of the most incredible people that I know. And every time I'm around her, I'm a better person because of it. I like how she's a deep thinker, but I also like how she has frameworks to solve certain problems and keep conversation going. I love Dominic and Ellie and really respect them. And I know that they got a lot out of being out there in San Francisco for those 3 days. And we've been talking about doing one together. And I'm not here looking for something specific today, although I'm coming here very curious. So I'm excited about the takeaways that I know I'm going to leave with. But I'm also always chasing personal development and trying to evolve as much as I can. And so I'm here with an open mind. I'm here very curious. I want to learn and I want to become a better person so that I can serve others around me in a higher fashion.
Perfect. Perfect. Because one of as you were talking, it just really spurred this inside me is like, I 100% believe that every single one of us, we were put on this planet. We are we have so many gifts inside of us that we came into this world. And as we grow up, as we learn things, as we observe things, as we start to model certain things, we start to, a lot of times, cover up what's actually extraordinary inside of us. You know, I heard this woman that I have a ton of respect for the other day say something to the effect of, it's like this incredible human is inside of us, and there's this block around us. And this incredible human being is just like itching to get out. But there's this comfort that we have designed around us that keeps us inside. And so the opportunity is like something's got to be bigger out there. Like, is it my call to, I want to make a difference on this planet. I want to be in service. I want to create my legacy. And so I'm willing to go through what is uncomfortable to rewire what's happened in my brain. Because the truth is we can, based on the science. So like we've been teaching these we've been teaching them for, well, it's just a lot, you know, I could probably be some of your mothers out there in the audience, okay?
Jesus, Kathy, you had to go down that too.
But it's like a long time, like 35 years. But this industry has been around for, you know, hundreds of years, but like really in the format since the late 60s, early 70s. But now that we have done so much more research in the brain, what was being done in the early 70s now is backed by scientific research, and which gives so much more validity to, wait a second, I can actually shift my brain patterns. I can shift how I'm being in my life, because I will guarantee you, every single person on this call, you have a skill set. You've been learning a skill set in the industry called real estate. But that skill set without the mindset is, you're not going to produce what's possible. But you put the mindset, the mind thinking, and the skill set in, now that's a winner. And to actually start to see life is much bigger than I thought was possible. And who I am in that life is way bigger and can make a significant difference. So I'm going to pass it to Gary because he's going to give you some of the, like, okay, here's a framework to work with. And now that we have our new vibe board in our studio, you are going to be the first group that we are actually displaying this with. So it's very exciting.
So hopefully it doesn't look like it's our first time. While I'm talking to you about this, what I want you to think about is what would be possible in your life if to remove all the obstacles, remove all the challenges, what would be possible? Not only what you would create, but who you are as a human being. So just take a moment and just allow yourself to think, okay, there's a part of me that is itching to get out. There's a part of me that I know is greater. So I just want you to allow yourself to imagine yourself living your best possible life, bringing your best possible self to the world. And just think about what that would be. What would that experience be like? Now, here's a stat. 80% of what you thought about yesterday, you will think about again today. And in our classes, we have a banner and it says, to think is to create. So if we ever wonder why our life doesn't change in quantum leaps, it's because we're always thinking the same thing. So if what I think and my thoughts become things, then the first place I've got to look is I've got to look at going, what have I been thinking about? So now take what that life experience is that you want and who you would be and what you would create. Now look at your thinking and just for a moment, observe the thoughts that you went through yesterday. Are those thoughts in alignment with who you would be and what you would have? Okay. So now I get to use my whiteboard. So I want you to think about if you're out in the ocean, let's say the Atlantic Ocean, and you're on a ship and you see an iceberg. What part of the iceberg would you see? So here's the iceberg. How much of the iceberg would you see? What percentage?
15%. 10.
Okay, let's go with 10.
Let me say 10.
Now, I use this analogy because it's very much like our minds. And that is 10% of my mind consciously says, here's who I want to be in the world. Here's who I'd like to show up as. And here's what I'd like my life experience to feel like. Here's what I'd like to create in my life. And so 10% of our mind says, that's what I'm about. That's what I'm going to create. However, what we don't realize is that underneath the waterline is another 90% of thinking that possibly is working against us. So that's why in the classes that we do, awareness is key to observe our thinking. So if you think back about what you thought about yesterday, is it in alignment with what you truly want to create in your life? So I want to hear from you. What you thought about yesterday, is it in alignment with who you can possibly be and what you would want to experience in your life?
No.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. And so what would you say is not in alignment with what you want to experience?
Well, there's too much focus on what I'm doing that is not who I want to be, rather than the vision of what I'm trying to become and what I know that I can be. That's
okay.
That's where the 90% is for sure.
Okay. So let's take a look and see how the mind works and how it produces that. So we have 3 levels of mind. So the first level of mind is our conscious mind. The second level of a mind is our subconscious mind. And then the final level is our superconscious. So at the conscious level of mind is our reason and logic. That's where our intellect, what we know, all our skills, all of that falls into the conscious area. That's where our 5 senses are. Now we have the subconscious mind. That's where our emotions are. And then we have the superconscious, and that will be whatever you believe that third entity to be, meaning universe, God, Allah, quantum field, whatever you believe that third entity to be, something greater than ourselves. Now, when we create alignment with what we think and what we feel, we connect to superconscious. Now, this is where we all connect as human beings, is at the superconscious level. So that's how we connect with other people. So when I'm in alignment, this is where I create relationships. This is where I connect at a deeper level. However, most times when we're relating to people, oftentimes we're thinking about what to say next. So we're not really present. And then we start to experience a disconnect. Or in sales, what happens is the agenda becomes, I've got to make this, I got to close this deal, I got to sell this car, I got to sell this house, whatever the agenda is that you have going on, what happens is that gets in the way of the connection. because what the other person experiences is another agenda. And so there's mixed agenda. And so the whole idea is that we have to get these three in alignment. What I know with what I feel. And we call that authenticity. So how many of you have experienced, show of hands, have experienced a really authentic person, and then all of a sudden there's a quick connection that is created, and that you're present with them, you're willing to follow them, you're willing to listen to what they have to say. How many have experienced authentic people? Maybe you're one. Okay. There's a magic about it. And so what this work is about is that evolution to our authenticity, who we truly are, and living from a place of purpose. So now let's take these three levels of mind, and we'll call the conscious mind, where our reason and logic is, we're going to call that the executive center. Now, the executive center, when we are in that frame of mind, we can then tell the subconscious what to think. However, the subconscious is always present, meaning it's our default. And the reason why it is our default, because what lives in the subconscious level of mind is our amygdala and hippocampus. How many have heard of the amygdala being our lizard brain? Okay, so some of you have. So the amygdala part of our brain, its sole purpose is survival of the species. So that is your default. How many here experience anxiety? Okay, so that is your amygdala operating as it should. So what happens is the amygdala creates our survival context, and it uses the hippocampus, because the hippocampus part of the brain, its job is to take short-term memory and turn it into long-term memory. So this is where our conditioning comes from. How many of you get triggered? That would be every hand that goes up. Okay, this is key, because that is your amygdala at work. So the triggering is actually an opportunity to look and go, oh, here's an area that I need to look at and I need to look at. Because think about when you, a dream, all right? You fall asleep. You know, when you go to sleep, your conscious mind goes to sleep. However, your subconscious stays awake. You go to sleep, and then you dream that you're falling from a building. And so as you are in this dream, your arms are flailing, your legs are kicking, to the point where it wakes up your conscious mind, and then your conscious mind then says to your subconscious, you're not falling from a building, you're asleep and you're having a dream. So that's how the two interact. So the conscious mind, when the executive center, when you are aware and you bring the executive center into play, it then tells the subconscious what the reality is. However, when you're in default, the subconscious is now dictating what your reality is. So if you're not experiencing the reality that you want, then you've got to operate more from your prefrontal cortex and be aware of when you're operating from that place. And how you know is because you're operating from a place that you're not being triggered. You're being present. So let's go further into this. So this is your survival context. In the subconscious. So what it has done is it is taking everything from your past through the hippocampus, and it has now become your filter. So like I said, it's your lizard brain, it's your caveman, cavewoman brain. So its job is to determine, is this prey or predator? Meaning, am I going to be rewarded with food or am I going to be eaten? So if that brain, part of our brain has evolved, but however, the lizard brain, its sole purpose is survival. So whenever you experience anxiety, so who can tell me where the anxiety comes from? What creates anxiety?
Fear of the future.
Very good. So what happens is your subconscious, your survival context only deals with past and future. So now I want you to think about this. Its sole purpose is to keep you safe, and it will lie to you to keep you safe. So what it does is it creates an illusion of a moment in time that hasn't happened yet. Now, how it creates the illusion is going to be based on your past. So the time that you were a child and your parents said, we can't afford it. Or the time that they said, you'll never amount to anything. Or the time that they said. So all of those times in your past, when you are triggered, you are reverting back to childhood strategies to survive. So when you see two adults in conflict, what you're basically witnessing is two 6-year-olds fighting. So the survival context now becomes the filter by which you view the world. So meaning that I grew up and my parents said that I really struggled in math. And I remember my parents persecuting me for not getting A's in math. So at a young age, I made up in my mind that I don't measure up or I'm not enough. Doesn't have to be traumatic because the survival context exists in all of us and it's based on our past conditioning. So if you ever wonder why you're not fully showing up, it's going to be based on the illusions that your survival context made up about who you are and how to be in the world. I remember my parents telling me, we were at church and I was at Sunday school, and they didn't like us playing and shouting and, running around as kids do. And they said it was inappropriate. So then I grew up with conditioning that said, do not show up, do not make yourself visible. In other words, I didn't have a voice. I didn't know how to be in the world, in the public. In fact, public speaking was my number one fear. So how many of you experienced that? Public speaking is one of your fears. Oh, you're all good at it? Okay. Okay. So that's a good place to look and go ask yourself why. Why is that? So let's look at this again. So if the survival context in your subconscious is telling you and lying to you, then I have a saying to myself, my mind lies to me. So I'm going to lie to my mind. So I tell myself, when I get up in front of public speaking, I tell myself I matter, I am significant, I have something to offer. That then brings me present, and no longer does the anxiety exist. All right. So how do we regulate our nervous system? So you get triggered. Remember, it's going to be based on the filter by your conditioning. So you get triggered, which means you're operating in the subconscious level. And when you get triggered, your nervous system Your nervous system fires. That's why you feel what you feel. That's the job of the survival context, is to fire the nervous system and go, this is not safe. I do not feel in control. This is where ego takes over. And how many here are controllers? You need to control stuff. Okay, we do that out of our need for safety and comfort. Now, what I want you to hear in this is the conditioning and all of these behaviors, they're neither good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just what is. And as soon as we start surrendering to this is what is, then we can change it. So anyway, your nervous system fires. I'm triggered. And what happens is, if I don't become aware of it, I will continue and perpetuate the cycle. So here's what you do when you become anxious and you are triggered. You have to consciously bring the prefrontal cortex, that's the executive center, you bring that into play. And here's how you do it. Take a deep breath. To consciously say to yourself, take a deep breath. Now, they have a rule of thumb, but I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, basically do this. Take a deep breath for four seconds, hold it for 6 seconds, and release for 4. Just the idea that you have to engage your reason and logic will bring you back to the present. How many here have ever heard that you're not really present or get present? Anybody heard that? So when you're with clients, when you're creating relationships, this is absolutely necessary that you get. How many here think of stuff to say prior to? In other words, you're already planning on how you're going to respond to someone. How many do that? Okay. When we do that, we're not present. Because now we're back down here making up stuff. Like, here's what they're going to say. Here's how I'm going to respond. So remember, if we go back over here, it only deals with past and future, and the future is an illusion. Because that moment in time hasn't happened yet. So we're not present when we're in the survival context, and we're being reactionary. So we take a deep breath. That puts us into the executive center. And what that does is it regulates the nervous system and brings us present. Okay. So this is much like taking a sip from a fire hose. I know I hit you with a lot. So let's look in real time how this works. I want you to bring to mind, and hopefully there's somebody among you that I can work with. Okay, I want you to bring to mind the last time you were triggered. What did you react to? Now, most likely it's going to be people, however, it can be cars or traffic or whatever. So bring that to mind. The last reaction you had, the last trigger, or the one that stands out the most. Okay. Now, who would like to share what it was that they reacted to?
I can. I've had a lot of triggers lately. It's
Perfect.
a seller that is telling you what to do.
Somebody
From their
telling
own
you,
research. Yeah.
okay. Somebody telling you what to do.
Yeah.
All right. So, what did you experience? What were the emotions you felt?
You're not trusting my work.
Okay. And so if you're not trusting my work, then what does that say about you?
What do I think about me when I
Yeah.
say that?
So if you don't
Um,
trust my work, what does that mean about you?
It means that well, I guess automatically I go to, what did I not say to them that they don't, why are they not trusting me? You know,
Okay.
with my years of experience, and then I have to push harder to prove my expertise.
Okay. So if you have to prove something, then that says what?
I think from everything I'm learning from you, it means it's a trigger from my past, meaning I've always had to prove myself to be noticed or accepted for the info that I have. Or
Okay.
I always have to seek that approval, I guess, of.
Very good. Okay.
Awesome.
Now I want you to go back to the first 5 to 10 years of your life as a child. And do
Yeah.
you remember the first time that you needed to seek approval?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
I
What
think
happened?
about that often, actually. What's that?
What happened? If it's
Oh,
okay,
just
feel free to
yeah,
share.
just being a girl in an Asian household, and you're at the bottom of a household of boys. So what you did with your life really, other than needing to be a wife, was really not important. So I guess that maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
No,
no, very good.
that's great.
you
That's
did
very
awesome.
honest.
Yes. And thank you for being so honest and open. So there are 4 questions, and you can write these down if you want, because this will start you to understand why you're triggered. Number 1 is, what am I reacting to? What's triggering me? Second question is, what am I feeling? You want to learn to identify your emotions, label the emotions, okay? Third question is, when in the first 5 to 10 years of my life do I remember experiencing those emotions? And then the final question is, what happened? So I'm going to give you an example of how this works and how we condition ourselves. So I travel a lot between here and California. I drive. And that's where we used to live, was in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we were driving back and forth. And this is real. And so I'm in traffic, especially in the Bay Area, and I get cut off by another car. Now, how many here have a reaction when you get cut off by another car? Okay. And when you're in that react, is it, oh, I'm so sorry I got in your way? Or is it the one finger salute? Okay. So we have this reaction that goes on with this. So I'm going to work through those 4 questions and show you how it works. So I get cut off. Second question, what am I feeling? I'm feeling powerless, resentful, angry, frustrated. When in the first 5, 10 years of your life did that happen? Third question. Second grade. Fourth question, what happened? I was small for my age as an Asian, and I used to get bullied and picked on a lot. And I remember being in the cafeteria line, and the bullies would cut in front of me or steal my lunch money, or both. And in that moment that happened, I wanted to cry. However, I suppressed my crying because I didn't want to look foolish in front of the bullies. The minute I suppress those emotions, what happens is, whatever thought is going through my mind at that time, I will then seal it into my survival context. And the thought that was going through my mind is, I'm not big enough, strong enough to protect myself. So I grew up with conditioning that I am not enough, which was further reinforced by my parents persecuting me for the C I got on my report card in math versus an A. So if you can go back to your childhood, you can see that you take that conditioning from your childhood and you bring it forward. Now, how does a belief stay alive? So if my belief is I'm not enough, how does a belief stay alive?
Are you feeding it?
Yeah, it gathers evidence to support the belief so you get to be right. However, if the evidence isn't available, you will create it. You'll create the evidence. Again, going back to my not enough stuff. So I had a failed marriage. Now, the reality is I attracted that partner, that woman into my life to support my unconscious belief of I'm not enough. 14 years of marriage. And she definitely supported my belief that I was not enough. So, how many here, I don't know how many are single or married, but how many here have noticed that you've dated the same person over and over again? Anybody? Nope. You're all married in great relationships? Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay,
have one
one
hand up.
Okay. So, so the world reflects back what you are thinking. Triggering is so important because it's also reflecting back the areas that you need to work on so that you can evolve to who you truly are. And so we keep pointing the finger outward in judgment and blame, but yet there are three fingers pointing back at us, meaning that we would not see that unless it was an issue within ourselves that we need to work on. Now, all of this is necessary for your evolution to become your more authentic self. And as you can see, if we go back through years, there's layers and layers and layers. Now, how many here know that there is a greater part of yourself that is just itching to come out, just like Kathy talked about? Show of hands. Okay. For that person to emerge, you've got to be willing. No, it's not working. All right, you got to be willing. You got to be willing to risk. So avoidance comes from our fears that we've made up about the future, which is a total lie. Our anxiety comes from that. That then spurs on the avoidance. How many here know that there's things in your life that you're avoiding right now? Show of hands. Okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Those very things that you are avoiding are the ticket to the success and who you want to be. How many here have heard of Bob Proctor? Anybody? So one of our biggest fears is failure, is to fail, because we somehow connect who we are to a result. And that is not true. And Bob Proctor said it best. Failure is the tuition we pay for success. So you got to be willing to screw it up. So the way our mind works, it wants to protect us from a feeling. The feeling is a lie. How many here have feelings and go, oh, it must be the truth because this is what I feel? Anybody?
Helen Keller had the best quote. It was, feelings are a byproduct. They're not the end product. Like sometimes you get up in the morning and I don't feel like doing this. However, it's a fleeting moment, because when you actually are operating from a place of commitment, willing to do whatever it takes, like there could be pain and there could be joy, but I'm getting through whatever it is because there's something bigger on the other side. Because the one place, are we ready to move into our segue yet?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Because the one place that really is so much is the foundation of what we do. Gary hit on it in terms of to think is to create. But there's a foundation of I am responsible. So responsible meaning out of the choices I make, out of the choices I don't make, I create my life. So everything that you've heard that Gary's been talking about is like, our childhood strategies that create our survival context. Okay, that's great. Now that I start to uncover that, what do I do with that? Okay, so first, I got to stand in a place called I'm responsible. So I don't get to point if I keep pointing the finger backwards, like it's because this happened when I was a child, this happened and this happened and this happened. Okay, great. It did happen. So now as an adult, I'm responsible. So another way to say that is I'm the source. So think about that. Let that just sink in for a second. If I'm the source of everything that I attract and bring into my life and everything that I'm keeping away from my life. So that could be somewhat of a harsh reality because many times what we do as human beings, we have a tendency to make ourselves it's right, wrong. How many of you tend to beat yourself up? Like, yeah, you carry a little hammer on, well, I should have done this. I should have done that. And, gosh, I wish this didn't come out of my mouth, blah, blah, blah. So all of that thinking, I'm going to label that under like a victim mentality. Like, it's because of this, I didn't do it. Okay, that's great. Might be true. However, if I am standing in a mentality called victim, like I have no control over this, it's not up to me, nothing new is going to happen. Nothing. And operating from that place, operating is like a real jargony term, but it's like if I'm standing in a place, it's like Gary just said, pointing a finger out and there's 3 fingers pointing back. If I keep looking out here, I have nothing to do with it. And I have no say-so, which is a total lie. We do have a say-so. Is if I turn the same coin around and turn it into responsible, like I'm the source, I create my life based on my thinking, based on my actions, based on my behavior. So my thinking creates my feelings, that creates my behavior, that creates my results. So if I want to shift my results, I got to shift my thinking. And the one clear way that I can shift my thinking is when I take ownership of it. But ownership, not from a place of fault or blame, but from a place of, okay, all right, this happened. I chose this, but I'm in a new moment of time. Now, where do I choose from? I'm not saying that operating from responsible, like I'm the source, I create, like, does every choice that we make turn out 100%? No. But I'm going to tell you right now, your odds go up to 50%. When I'm thinking victim, like, oh my gosh, it's up to the economy, it's up to the market, it's up to the seller, it's up to this, it's up to people. Like, I have no voice in it. So when I'm thinking I have no voice to it, I'm not seeing any kind of possibility. But when I actually turn it around and start to go, wait a second, I have a choice. I'm responsible for this. Just the fact that I'm saying I'm responsible shifts and creates the opening in that survival context in our brain that we start to see, oh, wait a second, there's a different way to do this, a completely different way. But the only way that we're going to do that is something's got to be bigger. Because this is kind of a funny story, so Gary talked about that he was married for 14 years. And so then he met me. So, but he was already, not like I broke up the marriage, okay? And so, we got married. And so we're going to actually, this year, we're going to celebrate our 33rd wedding anniversary. And so there was a point in our marriage where I was like, what the hell did I buy into? Because when we got married, I inherited kids. Like, the girls live with him, and so now they live with us, and they were young. So when we got married, they were 11, 10, and 12. And so now we're starting to get into the teen years. How many of you have experienced the teen years? So I had never been a parent before, okay? So I think the way to handle this is, let's get a credit card and go shopping. Like, all problems are solved at the mall as far as I'm concerned, right? Well, I soon learned that that was not the wisest choice. And there was points where I like literally standing in this like complete victim mentality of like, what the hell? I didn't like, do you know how much thinking these girls had before I even got them? Oh my God, this is so much work. And because when I married Gary and the girls are little, I also inherited his ex-wife because that's their mother. And so I could get very victimy about her, this, or turn it around and stand in, wait a second. I have a much bigger commitment. Like the bigger commitment was that I had what I wanted was a family. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children. Like I remember standing at, we got married in our home in Burlingame and standing in front of the fireplace. And I look over and I'm like, wow, okay. Nicole's my maid of honor. Natalie's Gary's best man. And all of a sudden it like hit me. It's like, wow, I kept saying to myself, because we will get exactly what we asked for. I kept saying, I want to have a family. I want to have a family. And I just looked and I went, okay, wait a second. This isn't exactly how I thought I'd birth them, but here we go. So my commitment was I wanted to have an extraordinary family. And so guess what? I bought all this. I chose when I said I do. And so when I could surrender to the fact that that is exactly what I said I do. So from a responsible place, how do I have to shift me to make that happen? I'm not going to say it was easy. It wasn't. Operating from responsible isn't easy. I remember I saw a really great poster at my friend's house, and not to put religion in, but it was, she's Mormon. And so it was a picture of Jesus, but the words of it were significant. I never said it would be easy. I just said it would be worth it. And those words have stuck with me because I think that's what this journey called personal development and learning. Like nobody's going to just hand us the answer. Like the answers are there, but they're also inside of us. So they're externally and internally, but I've got to be willing to go bust through that survival context to there's an opening out there that box that I have put around me does not have to keep me where I'm at. But if I can't see a bigger picture, I'm going to take the easy way out. And I'll say it's the easy way, even though it's not really not. That's a whole other conversation. It's just the most comfortable. So those are two very different points of view that we will explore in so much of the work that we do. All our advanced courses are all about, I'm the source, I am responsible, but from a freeing place, not from a fault, blame, good, bad, need to do it this way, but from wait a second, I can choose something different, regardless of all the mistakes I've made in my life, in business, in relationships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can course correct. But the only way I can course correct it is when I start to understand what my thinking has been and how do I shift that. And actually practicing the tools. Because most of the time, the one thing that is constant is change. And that constant, that it's happening all the time, it's happening in our bodies, it's happening outside of us and internally, is that we're resistant because we want to hang on to what's familiar. Okay. But at the same time, we got to be willing to let go of it. And the familiar could still be there, but by letting go and trusting ourselves and trusting there's something bigger out there, but we got to get hungry for that. We got to get super hungry for something that's bigger. You got to good thing.
Yeah. So, a lot of what we're talking about is, and remember I said the mind lies to you. So if we're not aware, we're in our default, we're in the amygdala. And what happens is we're operating from a perception because those unconscious beliefs run us and filter the world that we see. So then that becomes our reality. However, if you allow yourself to regulate your nervous system and you get present and get back up into your executive center, you then bring yourself present and to a present reality. So that's the difference between perception and perspective. And so the reason why this is so important is because from this place you cause your life. From this place, you're victim to past conditioning, you're victim to your history. And so Kathy brought up, and we're going to work a little bit more on this, and that is if you could, I'm going to pose an if question. What if that possibility of who you can be already exists? What if how you show up and what you experience in your life is already available to you and already exists? What if it's available right now? Okay, now, how many here are chasing your dreams? Show of hands. How many here want more in your life, whether that's in relationships, whether that is in material things? How many want more? Okay, now, if you take that thinking, that mindset, and you go back one day, 1 week, 1 month, how many here are starting to see that you wanted this a month ago and it's not materializing the way you thought it should? How many have noticed that? Anybody? Okay. Because the minute you instill into your brain, I want or I am chasing, what you just told the universe is that what I am chasing is moving away from me. If I want something, it means that I don't already have it. So that's why the if question, and the if question is, what if all of that already exists right now? It already exists in the quantum field. However, it's because of our fear of letting go of our former self and not allowing that new person to evolve, our authentic self. And it's the thinking that gets in the way. So my challenge to you is to go out today and to challenge yourself and notice what you avoid, notice what you react to. And is it in alignment with what you say you want to an experience of yourself? So, are you going to do the exercise on the victim?
We don't really have time.
Oh, how much time do we have?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do this. So Gary just brought up, I want you don't really have a notebook here, but you'll remember this. Are you the master of your destiny, or are you going to be the victim to your history? Because that is a really, really great thing to continue to ask yourself. Am I going to be the master of my destiny, or I'm going to be the victim to my history? Is because I say that if you're sitting in this room, I guarantee you that you're about being the master of your destiny. So let's do a really quick kind of give you an experience of a little bit. So you're in the room together. So I want everybody to find a partner and take your chairs and face each other. And those of you that are on Google Meets at home, I'm going to have you journal something. So everybody take your chair, find a partner, get with each other really quick. I'm going to give you a little exercise. Oh, they're jumping right in. Okay, everybody's got a partner in front of you. Where's our guy going? Okay. So I want you to find just bring to mind something current. Like we're going to just do a little perspective shift as perspective and perception shift. Okay. So I want you to think of something that, as Gary was talking about, triggers you, but that when like you get triggered that you're, kind of victim-y about it. Like, look what they did. Look what they like. How come this didn't happen? This is what my seller is saying. Like, I want you to like find something that you got a trigger on that you feel somewhat victim-y on. I mean, I think that I don't know your name, but you were talking about the seller. That's a really great one. Like, my seller is attempting to tell me what to do. I'm selling the house and they're trying to tell me what to do. That's a perfect one.
Can you do your trigger being yourself, like your own limiting beliefs, or does it have to be external?
I think for this particular example, have it be external. You definitely translate it to your beliefs as you get to, I always like to use the analogy, continue to peel back the layers of the onion, so to speak. Everybody got something?
I know.
And even if you don't have one, you can use this one. So I'm sitting in this meeting one time, and this lady in New Mexico tells me to come up with a story. So you could do that.
Did you want, we're supposed to tell the person the trigger? Or no?
Okay, so pick a partner A and a partner B.
And we tell, right now we're telling them the trigger.
Okay, so first, okay, great. So now,
I was gonna say, I don't think.
so have them pick a partner A and partner B.
You what?
Have them pick a partner A and a partner B.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I don't think she actually shared, but I think we all went into it right away, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Kathy, you tell us the directions.
So,
I think
somebody,
we're just telling each other our triggers.
Yeah.
But I don't think you told us unless I missed it.
I didn't. So have a partner A and a partner B. So who wants to be partner A? Who wants to be partner B? So partner A, your job is to like, oh my gosh, you can't believe what triggered me. You can't believe how victim-y I feel about this. You can't believe what they did to me. And partner B, you just be the committed listener. That's it. You got 1 minute, go.
And for you, those of you that are not in the room, journal on your victim-y story. Just write down your story.
Okay, bring it to a close. Partner A, good job. Good job, partner A. Good job.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I want to hear from partner A's. What did you experience when you were sharing about what triggered you? What did it feel like?
The emotions came right back. Felt like you're in that conversation.
Okay. Awesome. I love it. I love it. And so partner B, when you're listening to them, what did you experience?
You can see the facial expressions.
Yeah, understanding. And it was.
They're sending it.
Okay. Okay.
That we all
All
have
right.
triggers, or we all have issues.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Okay, so now turn it around. And now I want partner B, you share what triggers you. and where you experience like somewhat victimy, like, oh, look what they did to me, or look how I'm feeling because of them. So
Uh-huh.
partner B, you have 1 minute to share yours. Go. Okay, partner B, good job. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Give yourselves a big round of applause for participating. All right, so everybody done?
Yes.
Okay, so now I want you to take, and I want you to turn that around. So that situation, that event where you felt that you were powerless or, you know, like they just hit a nerve. Okay. So if I turned it around and said, okay, so I'm responsible for how I feel. I'm responsible for how I respond. I'm responsible for how I react. So if you really look at some of the choices that you made that set up this, what would be some of the choices that you made without beating yourself up for those choices? Does that make sense for you? Did I communicate that clearly? That would be a yes or a no, shake her head or like this. Yes.
Yes, you already did that.
Okay, good. So partner A, you have 1 minute. I want you to share about like, okay, wait a second. So if I could use your example as the seller's telling you what to do, right? What would be the responsible version of that particular scenario?
I'm responsible for my reaction and how I feel about it. And
Right. But take it back a little even further than that. What was the choices that you made that set it all up?
to feel triggered, do you mean?
No, set up like, okay, so now you have this seller that's telling you how to do your job.
Yeah.
Who chose the seller?
Taking them as a client. And this will probably be the last one I do with them. Kind of the misses and
But
like,
hey, but I mean, so the truth is that, you know, I got this client, but the truth is I chose the client.
I did. And I should have
So-
learned the first time, so so this is one more time to sell, but then this is it. I'm tied in for 2 more.
And so then it's like, oh my gosh, I could actually be grateful to her or him that you just
for
taught me.
showing up. They showed me who they were, who they are.
Yeah.
And I ignored it the first time. And I'm not that desperate for that business. I really removing them will get me more business is what I truly believe.
Right on, right on.
Yeah.
So everybody got that? So partner A, now take what you shared as the first round and now turn it around to, okay, what's the choices I made? Like I chose how I react, But I also like take it a little step further is because when we're saying it like that, we could start to beat ourselves up about it versus, okay, wait a second. It's like if we use my example with getting married to Gary, like I said I do. So when I said I do, I bought the whole package. I got the kids, I got the ex-wife until, of course, the kids were 18, and then it was a whole different story. Okay, that's another story. And however, that I chose it. So, partner A, you got 1 minute to communicate from responsible. Like, okay, let's see the choices I made that led up to this.
How did I set it up? How am I the source? So you're taking the accountable version and you are setting it up as how you created that whole scenario. Not blame, but by the choices and decisions I made, I created my reality. So you're the source of it. So this is a different perspective. So it may be challenging, however, play with it. So go ahead. So what is it?
1 minute.
1 minute. Partner A. And for those of you not in the room, journal on how you created that scenario. What time are we at? 10:30?
Yeah.
So
Do this, and then you want to wrap it up with that. Okay, time. Wrap it up, partner. Wrap it up. Give yourself a hand for that one. Okay, so partner A, let me hear from some of you. What did you experience communicating from responsible? What did it feel like?
I mean, in this setting, it felt comfortable, but if I was with that person, I think I'd still want to be defensive. But
Okay.
it felt good in this setting to be like, okay, I can talk rationally. You're still wrong, but I can talk rationally here.
You're still wrong. Okay. Anybody else?
Control, less stress.
Okay, good, good. Like a different perspective on that one. Very good. Okay, so partner B, we're going to shift to you. You got 1 minute to share from responsible. Go. Like doing a basic. Did you know I wrote that down?
Nope. Lighting atoms.
But I was going to say about like, would my future self make this choice? Okay, time's up, partner B. Give yourselves a hand for jumping in on this.
Somehow I don't think they hear us.
I know. All right, bring it to a close, partner B. Bring it to a close. Okay. All right, give yourselves a round of applause for jumping in on that. That was like throwing something at you. I love it. So partner B, let me hear from some of you. What did you experience when you were communicating from responsible? What did it feel like?
That playing the victim is not gonna help the situation.
Okay, okay. Okay, good. Anybody else?
Relief
In what way?
and letting it go.
Okay,
And realizing that what was causing me the anxiety, I used to point the finger at it, but I just realized in this conversation, just my therapist now, like, but what I realized in talking it through was that how I chose to respond to the situation is what was causing me the anxiety.
very good.
It was-
Very good. Very good. So that was just like a little taste, people. But I'm going to say, like I said earlier, like when we have this, when we operate like we're attached to our triggers, this victim mentality, like there's 0% of it turning out any different. But when we actually stand in operating from a place of, okay, I'm responsible, I am the source, our odds go up 50%. I'd rather have the odds 50-50 than 0%. And when we really are putting on that perspective of, I'm the source, I'm responsible, that literally brings up our internal empowerment within ourselves. It definitely brings up our self-respect. And it definitely, we start to see possibilities, like there's options. From the other perspective, there's no options. So I say the more that we work with, okay, I'm the source, I'm responsible, I can create this. There's so unlimited possibility. Again, as I said, are you the master of your destiny or the victim to your history? Because one thing I know, that we as human beings 100% believe this. We were put on this planet to have an extraordinary life in every area of our life, in our businesses, with our families, within ourselves, and our communities. And the only thing that stops us is our belief system, our thinking. But until we start to step back and go, okay, let me open up my brain here and see what's really going on, instead of operating from a place of automatic, that I actually go, okay, let's see here. Because things start to get a new perspective when, especially when you see, oh, wait a second, I actually can do something about this. I don't have to be victim to my history. Regardless of where I am in the world, I can actually have clean slate, new moment in time. I'm going to turn it over to Gary.
So here's something that can be a challenging pill to swallow, and that is that everyone here in this room and on the call, you are all master manifestors. Everything that you experience. Now, the ownership of being that means that you have to take responsibility. That's the scary part. And so the whole idea when we shift from, it's not up there anymore, when we shift from perception to perspective, we start taking ownership that the reality I am experiencing is of my own doing. I am the source of it. Then we start to own our power. Because the truth is, many of you have said to the universe, I want X, I want this, I want to create this. And the universe is responding. And the point of this is that there are no victims. That the universe says that I am not happening to you, I am happening for you. Everything that comes your way, all the challenges are all a part of your evolution. However, we don't move forward, we don't level up, we don't evolve because we avoid out of fear. And so now is the idea is that my hope is today, test it, challenge yourself, take on those things that you've been avoiding. Have the tough conversations, and most importantly, have the tough conversations with yourself. Now, I say that you are master manifestors because everything that you have in your life currently is because you saw it as being so. And so that's why I have up here, operate as if it is so, so it becomes so. The universe will respond. And now how it responds is as an echo. So in other words, so let's say as real estate agents, you had already seen yourself being a real estate agent, and to the point where you already knew it was going to happen. It was like a done deal. Everything that you have in your life is because you said it was a done deal. And that includes all the things that you view as negative. You saw it as real. So the question to ask is, does reality, the experience of reality happen externally or internally? And when you start to see that the reality that you experience is internal and start to own that you are the source of that reality, you can totally shift your results. You can totally shift your life experience. So I want you to take a moment, close your eyes, and I want you to bring to mind someone that you deeply care about, someone that you have gratitude towards, that you feel love for. So just close your eyes and bring them to mind just for a moment. And I want you to allow yourself to be in that experience of love and gratitude and feel it. Just allow it to sink in, feel it in your bones, feel it deeply. Now go ahead and open your eyes. That experience of love and gratitude is a high vibration. That everything that comes your way, if you allow yourself to experience that love and gratitude, you will start experiencing more of it. If you are in the lower vibrations of anger, sadness, despair, resentment, you will attract more of those things. So respond to the universe with love and gratitude for all that comes your way in terms of challenges, because they're there for your evolution. And so my challenge to you is, one, inventory of thought. Think about what you're thinking about. How often do you ruminate on it? Emotions only last 90 seconds. However, they continue because of our rumination. And that rumination then creates a reality that may not be in alignment with the life experience that we want. So have an optimal day today. Kick ass. Crush it. See yourself on the other side of it. Having the results that you want.
How many people do we have to get in Madison committed for you guys to come here to do a 3-day seminar? 40?
Oh,
Would
that
you
sounds perfect. Yes.
We've got like 27 in the room, so if everyone brought one, we'd have enough people. Would you promise that you guys would lead it?
We will come.
Okay.
Okay, nice out. We promise, not in winter.
Okay, Ellie, that's so funny, because I was going, could it just not be in November and December and January? I've been there in those months. You know, remember, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I know what it's like.
That's true. That's true. We have one question, Kathy.
First off, great job, you guys. Thank you for being here with us today and walking us through that experience. My question is, when we're going through this process that we just went through, like, we have a couple different choices that we can make when we encounter that situation. I just because we've all talked about to seller and how he wanted to direct that. Like, we can choose if we want to flee that situation, right? Like I heard her say, like, I can choose to not work with them, or we can choose to work through that situation. And I think there's probably a right time that you flee and a time that you work through something. And I think that every time you work through something, you experience growth, and that situation might have happened to two, because if she figures out how to work through it, she might experience more opportunities down the road than if we were to just flee it. So when do we make the choice to flee versus to stay in it and work through it?
That's a great I think that's a great question, but I think that you hit on something that, okay, I have this challenging person, and so there's something that we really work with in terms of, okay, if I want this to happen, how do I shift? I can't change anybody besides myself. So they're there, as Gary just was saying, they're there for your evolution, meaning your growth. So how do I have to shift to work with this person? I might choose, once that transaction is complete so that I leave it clean, so to speak. But I'm learning that person just gave me a learning opportunity that I can bring that to the next challenging human being that I have. Because I always think it's important that whatever we gotta follow it through
Absolutely.
to get to the other side. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah,
I do want to say, my name is Tu, by the way, but I do want to say that I think about it a lot, and I do want to work through this. And I'm seeing now they're pretty much my childhood brothers. How I still, even as an adult, can't navigate my brothers in a conversation. That I know that I need to set boundaries with these guys. That there's so much, respect that's needed as a realtor, and there's boundaries there. And I need to be very clear about it from the get-go. That with the next one, that will be important that they follow and understand and respect, or it is best to maybe hand them off to a different personality that can handle their type of I do believe sometimes you let a client go and all of a sudden 10 come, because I've done that before. So there is that too.
Mm-hmm.
which I totally agree in. And so this all comes back to, what is your agenda? What are you committed to? So if we're being in the service industry and we're serving clients, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm committed to serving this client. However, in that commitment, what I have to sacrifice is me. So I got to draw a line there, and how much of me am I willing to sacrifice in my commitment to this other person? Now, if I use the rule that nothing is happening to me and it is happening for me, I can also see this as an opportunity for growth. The truth is, you can be whoever the hell you want to be at any given moment. You are not set in stone. We are an infinite possibility. So who do I need to be to serve this client? And out of that commitment, I then get back in return some sort of reward, whether that's in commissions or whatever it is. So the point being is, the more that we are being of service, proportionally the universe will reward us. And so we want to look and go, okay, am I committed to being right, or am I more committed to the service? However, in that commitment, how much of me am I going to sacrifice, or how much of me am I willing to allow to evolve? So there's a lot going on there, but it starts with the first place to look is, what am I committed to here? And so when you start asking that question in your relationships, in your business, you start to decipher what is going on. Is it the conditioning that my history that's running me right now? Is it the illusions, or am I present in the reality? And from that place of being present in the reality, I can now cause the results that I wish.
And how great that you look at your client and go, wow, this is my brothers right here. Thank you for letting me work through the energy I have on my brothers. How exciting.
Thank you guys so much.
So thank you. Have a fabulous day, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you in the near future.
Well, I'm going to see Dom for sure. Maybe Ellie in 2 weeks.
I know. I don't. So Dom's going to the 7-day intensive where you don't have your phone for 7 days and basically the middle of nowhere. For the 7-day intensive experience. And you might die. So I don't know if I can handle it. Yeah.